the podcast with Dan Bardell and Gregg Evans.
Welcome to 1874, the podcast sponsored by NordVPN. You can grab your exclusive NordVPN deal by going to 1874.io/VPN. If you no, not that's completely wrong. If you go to 1874.io/NordVPN, if you do that, you'll get a huge discount off your NordVPN plan, and you'll also get 4 months for free. And for English-speaking countries at the moment, the deal sweetens because you can get some Uber Eats vouchers as well. This is only applicable in the US, UK, Australia, and Canada. The whole thing's completely risk-free because Nord offer a 30-day money-back guarantee. Right, now I've got through that. I'm your host, Dan Bardell, joined by Gregg Evans from sunny Thailand. And because I wasn't happy that Gregg made me get up early on a Sunday, I've made Gregg turn the fan off to improve the listener's experience. I felt like it was making too much noise. So consequently, Gregg, you may melt through this podcast.
Yeah, well, just to give you a bit of background, it's 38 degrees outside, so it feels even hotter really sorry inside. Look, it's genuinely too hot. You can't go outside between sort of midday and 4 o'clock, and it's 3:45 now here in Thailand. So yeah, the reason I'm here is because I've got a little bit of time off work, so I'm watching games sort of very early in the morning. I quite liked yesterday's game because it was a 10 o'clock kickoff here, so didn't have to get up any earlier in the morning and watch it. I could just stay up and watch it, and yeah, very good game. I see you're very claret and blue themed today, Dan, so you must be in a good mood.
Well, because I've got up early as well, I've got no excuse not to go to the gym today before I get my Sunday off up and running. So probably we have thousands of people listen to this show. Only one person feels sorry for you complaining about the heat in Thailand, and that's probably your mother if she listens to the podcast, Gregg. But you're right, feeling very good about Villa. Nice for the team to get back to winning ways. And to start with, I will say it's absolutely no coincidence at all that Villa get back to winning ways when Pau Torres is back in the team.
No, he was great, wasn't he? The player with the most touches. I thought he was excellent with his progressive passing. A little bit brave with some of his defending. He pushes the boundaries, doesn't he, and sort of manages to get away with it. But I think it was all within the rules. And yeah, look, great to have him back because I think Villa are a completely different team when he plays. I said probably before Christmas when Villa were in that really good run of form, the key players for me that they couldn't lose were Emi Martinez, Ollie Watkins, and at that point I actually said John McGinn because I thought he was playing exceptionally well, and I didn't really see an alternative to him. But I think we can now safely say that Pau Torres is in that category now as well. Villa are a much better team when he plays. And look, for all Villa's injuries, the lineup yesterday was pretty good, wasn't it?
Yeah, I thought the whole defence did well yesterday, actually, the goal aside. The goal was obviously disappointing. We don't know what happened. Looks like a bit of a communication breakdown between Longley and Emi Martinez, which is rare to see. Emi Martinez get something wrong. But I thought the way they lined up and the way they set up straight away, you could see that on the ball, Moreno would obviously bomb on, as he always does. But then they'd make this back three, and Cash actually, you could visibly see that he tucked in, which isn't something he's done at all really this season, but that enabled Longley to be in the middle and then Torres to be on the outside of that back three. It just made the whole thing look a little bit more comfortable, I thought. And actually the way they defended yesterday reminded me of quite a lot of the away wins of last season. If I think back to maybe Everton away, Southampton away, it drew me back to those games when Villa did go on a good run away from home around this time last season by defending in that manner.
Yeah, and look, in the end, it was only by the single goal margin that Villa won. But I thought until the Fulham goal, Villa were exceptional. By far the better team. Should have probably put them away, and gone further ahead. And it felt like real, a performance that was more reminiscent of the start of this season rather than the recent run that Villa have been on. And yeah, Cash did drop in a little bit, but at times he also got forward. I think we've always known in Emery's teams that the left back typically tends to go further forward than the right back. That's always really been the way, generally speaking. But there were times when Cash pushed forward, and that sort of allowed. I think McGinn dropped a little bit deeper, didn't he, to try and cover at times then. But look, Longley and Torres, I thought did pretty well together. Okay, Longley and Martinez, a bit of a mix up for the goal, but that block that Longley made quite soon after, I think almost made up for it, didn't it? Because that would have been another goal scoring opportunity, or even almost certainly a goal for Muniz as well.
Yeah, I was thinking Longley is nowhere near as bad as some people make
No
out.
way, no
In
way near.
fact,
He's
for
not
Villa
bad.
to get him in the way they did after Mings got injured, I actually don't think they could have got a better type of player in than him than they did on a short-term
No,
emergency loan, which is essentially what he was. I thought he was very good. Just I thought he's made a lot of blocks
too.
throughout his time in the team. He just isn't Pau Torres. But if you put him next to Pau Torres and Pau Torres can do his thing, you realise that Longley's actually a very good defender.
Yeah. Look, that if you watch just the highlights yesterday, then you'll see his mistake, and it will be you'll pull him up, and you'll think, okay, he's been at fault for the goal, and isn't quite at the level as maybe a Tyrone Mings or an Ezri Konsa, and certainly not a Pau Torres. But if you look at his whole game contribution, he moved the ball very well from the back, not quite as well as Torres, but he did. He defended well. He put his body on the line at times, made some really important blocks, was very dangerous from attacking set plays as well, and was quite unlucky, wasn't he, with the header that just went over. I think that was really good opportunity. But in general, to have a fifth choice centre back as good as Clement Longley, I was speaking to a high placed director at a Champions League team a couple of weeks before Christmas, and we were just talking about Villa, in general, and Villa's defence was a topic that he brought up, and he said, the fact that Villa were able to get someone as good as Longley, with his Barcelona experience, etc., as a fifth choice centre back, and then top that up from Diego Carlos, a 20 million signing who had won the Europa League with Sevilla and was a winner, and then obviously the arrival of Pau Torres this summer. It just shows Villa's quality, and yes, they've been extremely unlucky with injuries this season, but the squad building process that's been put in place has enabled Villa to still be able to fill a really strong squad, like a really strong team like they did yesterday, and still go on and win games. So yeah, they're still in there fighting, as I predicted.
Yeah, I had vague memories of Longley playing right centre back with Umtiti at Barcelona as well, even though he's left-footed. I don't know where I pulled that memory from. It may well have been a game of FIFA, but I'm sure I've got memories of Longley playing with Umtiti. The other decision Emery had to make before the game was how he covered the loss of Kamara in central midfield. We did a match preview show on Thursday, Friday, I can't remember when we did it, and Dave Reid said he thought McGinn would come back, and I said I thought he'd give Tielemans a game in there. They both played, but it was McGinn who played as a number 6. Do you think now that's how Villa cover Kamara's loss for the rest of the season? Because McGinn's played literally everywhere across the front 6 positions this season, or front 5 positions, because he hasn't played up top. Is that now what happens to McGinn for the rest of the season? Is he the most trusted person?
It's got to be
that role.
It's got to be, hasn't it? Because there's nobody better than him in that role to fill it to fill in for Kamara. I think over the course of a season, if Villa missed Kamara for an entire season, they would really miss him. But I think with just 13 games remaining, I do think that Villa are capable of still finishing in the top 5 without him. The issue they're going to have is if one of McGinn or Luiz picks up an injury or a suspension, then they really are stretched, because you're going to have to bring in either a Callum Chambers or a Timur Bonham, possibly even look to Lamar Bogard after that. So, they're really, really stretched after that. But the players that they were able to put out yesterday are still very, very, very good players and good enough to finish in the top 5. And it's kind of what I said, 2 weeks ago. Okay, admittedly, it was before the Chelsea and Manchester United defeats, but I said, if you remember on the podcast, I still think that Villa have got a better chance of remaining in the title race than slipping out of the top 5. And 2 weeks on, after a couple of defeats and a win yesterday, I still feel the same way, because Man United have to keep winning to catch up with Villa. I think a lot of people are looking at Tottenham and Villa as the real face-off here. But look, Man City dropped a couple of points again yesterday, and Villa still have to play Liverpool, who have got way more injuries. And have had serious injury problems all season as well. Still got to play Liverpool, still got to play Arsenal, still got to play Manchester City. So there's no reason why they still can't be competing with the teams above them. I know you want to take 4th now, and I know
I don't care about the top 3. 4th.
straight fourth now. But I think realistically, we still have to have this conversation because they're not out of it yet. And I don't think Villa are going to win the league. You know, I've said that consistently. I still don't think they're going to win the league. It's going to take some almighty turnaround for them to do that now. But there's no reason why they still can't be competitive with the teams above them with the games they've got remaining. They just can't afford any more injuries, can they? Because they're really stretched now.
It was a great result yesterday at Spurs as well. You know, Spurs dropping points. People act as if Spurs are going to win every game. They're not.
Exactly,
They're a good team, but they had a couple of players missing yesterday. They had the fullbacks missing, and I haven't seen it back. But they lose at home to Wolves. Always liked Wolves. Great team. Always got a lot of time for them. Well done to them for going to Tottenham and winning yesterday. But you know, Tottenham will drop points just like Villa will drop points every week. It changes. This is why it annoys me whenever Villa lose a game. It's the end of the world on social media. And I know social media is a terrible barometer, but it's pretty much the only barometer I have to go by. But even at Villa Park, you know, I'm still annoyed about the Manchester United game. Not annoyed at the players or anything because I thought Villa played well, but I'm just annoyed that they can't beat Manchester United. It's something that has annoyed me my whole life. Yeah. But it changes every week because there'll be, you know, in the near future there'll be a week Villa don't win and Tottenham do. You know, that's football. That's what happens. But you know, this weekend so far, it's been a good weekend for Villa.
Yeah, it's been a really good weekend. And, you know, look, Liverpool have picked up a couple of, you know, more serious injuries now to Jota.
Forget Liverpool, Greg. We don't care about them. It's just Tottenham and Man
Arsenal are flying. But, you know, you can't look beyond them yet. I don't think Villa will get over them, but they're so close to Villa that you can't just always be looking over your shoulder. You've got to look ahead as well. And the team that Villa are still able to put out are good enough to go and beat any team in the division, I feel. Okay, you're probably going to need Kamara to beat the best teams, you know, consistently over the course of a season. But Villa have got 13 games left. I said a couple of weeks ago they need to get 10 wins. That's probably 9 now. The way the league's sort of panning out, you've got 3 teams really going for the title, so it would mean that probably fewer points are needed for the 4th and 5th place. And hopefully, if Villa can continue well in the Europa Conference League, if Brighton can do well, if West Ham are still in it, Liverpool, you know, are favourites to go and win the Europa League, and obviously Manchester City and Arsenal, you really want them to avoid each other in the Champions League for as long as possible so that they can continue to go really deep in the competition, and that just helps build up the I can't remember how
coefficient.
There's a different phrase for it. The European performance something, or I don't know the exact term, but yeah, I think we all know what we're getting at here. The coefficient, and if England can finish in the top 2 spots of that, then they will go to a 5th place. There will be 5 Champions League spots for the Premier League, and I think we both back Villa to pick one of those up at this point in time.
Yeah, the Opta supercomputer saying there's a 70% chance at the moment, around 70% that 5th place will be enough for Champions League, the way it's looking at the moment. I actually think Arsenal and Man City will both go far in the Champions League. And
whether they draw against each other, isn't it?
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, well, that would be frustrating. Our very own supercomputer, well, not so supercomputer, Adam Bates has just had a walk around. I don't know whether you just saw it, Greg. His kitchen looks very nice. Did you see? Can you see it? At the bottom, he's just changed rooms. His kitchen looks absolutely fantastic. And his hoodie that he's that he's sporting because it is early this morning. What was I going to do? Adam's completely put me off by his kitchen. It looked absolutely bloody massive. Walking around there. What was I going to say? So, yes, Aston Villa Football Club, right? That's what we're talking about here. It does feel more and more that, you know, the first goal is massive in Villa games for some reason. I don't know whether it's the same in every game, but in Villa games in particular, if Villa go ahead, I feel like they're going to win. If they go behind, I always think it's going to be hard work. So the first goal was massive, and obviously yesterday, Villa got that first goal at Craven Cottage.
Yeah. Fulham were poor, weren't they? I think they made it a little bit too easy for Villa for the first sort of 60 minutes. I thought they were pretty sloppy in possession. I thought defensively they tried to do a little bit too much out from the back when sometimes they just needed to move it sort of out of danger. Ramsey, I thought, was exceptional for the first 40 minutes, won the ball back in really dangerous areas for Villa on a number of occasions. Be interesting to see actually how many times he won possession in that first half, because it felt like he just kept taking the ball off the Fulham players, and obviously he was influential for the goal. Brilliant finish from Watkins, 1-0, and that put Villa in charge. And little bit unlucky not to go 2-0 up really well. Now I'm still can't quite get my head around the VAR decision. It seemed like, we've talked about this over and over, but it feels like the officials are always trying to find a way to chalk the goal off. And look, perhaps the lines did show that he was offside, but from my angle, it looked like he was on.
I mean, it was a bizarre process. One, it took too long, as it always does. But to me, it looked like the line was drawn from the bottom of Bailey's foot. I don't know whether it just coincidentally Moreno's sleeve happened to be in the same position as Bailey's foot. But then when the line came down, it wasn't even coming down to the right line that's supposed to rule offside, the right colour line. I can't remember which way around the colours are now. So I was watching it at the time thinking, they've made a mistake there. Because you don't trust the process, really. We've seen things go wrong throughout the Premier League this season. No. You cannot trust the process. Why we don't have the automated technology that there is in the Champions League, I don't understand. Because honestly, I was watching it. That line looked like it was drawn on Microsoft Paint. I didn't understand what they did. It didn't look offside to me. That's all I can say.
Likewise, I was watching it and I was thinking, the more I looked at the still frame, I thought that he looks onside there, and look, really unfortunate. Okay, we'll move away from VAR because nothing really we can do about it. But in terms of Villa's preparation for that, it was very, very unlucky. Villa's sort of move when, from attacking and defending set pieces is to move players quickly out of that 6-yard box as soon as possible. As soon as the ball comes in, obviously, for reasons that are obvious, if they're defending, they try to get the forward players offside. If they're attacking, then it's obviously to remain onside. And Moreno sprinted as fast as he could from the goalkeeper to get out of the 6-yard box and try and get onside, and it was just a millimetre. So close and so unfortunate. The week before, when you think of Rasmus Højlund's goal, from another corner, Watkins had done the same. He burst out from the box, but he just missed it. He's 1 millimetre away. And these are the fine margins. Villa go and lose by a goal. Okay, it was McTominay's goal that made the difference, but Højlund got the opening goal and from a set play. But look, Villa's preparation and the processes that they put in place, they work really hard to be creative and to try and tighten up and be effective at set pieces. And it just feels like they've been a little bit unlucky. And if you look at some of the statistics, that they don't make for great reading in terms of defensive goals conceded. I think Villa have conceded 25% of their goals this season through corners. But, so many of them are really lucky, I think. They're I just think the amount of shots that Villa have faced in comparison to other teams, they've just been really unfortunate from some of the goals that they've conceded. And I think over a period of time, that starts to even itself out. And we know attacking wise, Villa are the best team in Europe in terms of scoring goals from set pieces because they've scored more goals than any other team in Europe from set pieces. So they're doing something really right there. But yeah, to go back to Moreno's goal, just felt really unfortunate because spend a lot of time on that, and it was very, very close.
Come on, Austin, we've given you so much praise on this podcast for the attacking set pieces. Let's get the defensive set pieces right, Austin. That's what I'd say. No, it's not. Look, I never blame the set piece.
Well, I mean, I think what you got.
I don't actually think it's the set piece coach's fault.
No, I mean, of course it isn't. I mean, it's the. As I say, I just think Villa have been really unfortunate. You look at the amount of goals they've conceded from corners. How many of those were first contacts? I can only remember Shah's goal for Newcastle. Is it the second one? I think that was a pretty bad one to concede. But a lot of the others are really unfortunate. Villa are very competitive. You look at Diego Carlos. He jumped and was so close to winning the header against Harry Maguire that was flicked on for Højlund last week, and some of the others previously. And you got to look back, and Villa are losing their most dominant defender in Tyrone Mings. They've had to adjust the way they defend. They're adding more players into the defensive setups only because they haven't got Tyrone Mings, who wins so many first contacts for them. And the defence has been mixed about a little bit as well. So yeah, I think over the course of time, you'll see that the figures kind of even out because they're very, very, very unlucky. Whereas you look at a team like Manchester United, for example, who I don't think they've conceded as many goals through set pieces, but they've faced almost double the amount of shots. So You know,
There's no art to it.
they're getting really lucky, aren't they?
Yeah, no
Villa's
science
preparation
to
is really good.
Yeah, I will say I thought Villa, considering they lost Carlos, who is another dominant person from set plays, I thought Villa defended set pieces really, really well. For as Ollie Watkins scored 2 goals, I will say he won a lot of headers from corners and set plays as well. Defended the penalty, his own penalty area really, really well as well. We've done Watkins to death, but he is, and I'm sure we will again later on. But he is top class all round. Ollie Watkins. So that's the first half covered. We'll get into the second half in a second, but before we do, let's hear more about our sponsors, NordVPN. 1874 is proudly sponsored by NordVPN, so when you can't watch it, we want to help you. NordVPN is a secure and private service which works on pretty much any device, including your laptop, mobile, television. So if you want to watch some live content, it allows you to appear like you're in another country. And whilst you're connected, no one else can find out what you're doing, including your internet service provider. Beyond this, the service also has threat protection baked in to protect you from intrusive website ads and malware, which is pretty handy for you. As part of NordVPN support performance for free, this also includes Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. All you've got to do is go to 1874.io/NordVPN and sign up. All the details are also in the description. As always, we're very grateful to anyone that signs up. We know that money is tight, but if you think NordVPN will help you out, it will also help keep the channel running and help us too. The advert was running, I reckon. I'm sure I heard the fan sneak back in there. Right, second half then, Villa got an early goal in the second half as well, Greg, and it just shows, this goal for me, I liked this goal, but it just showed how clever Unai Emery is. McGinn picks up the ball in the 6th position, plays it to Tielemans in the second striker position, and that's what Tielemans is really good at in that position. If he gets the ball high up in the pitch, he's capable of playing a perfect through. Well, he does give the ball away, and he is loose in possession at times, but when he gets it right, my God, he gets it right, and that was some finish from Ollie Watkins. Just once he's got one, you always feel like the next chance he gets, he's going to score, and when he's full of confidence, and a nice double for Ollie Watkins. And that's a different type of finish from him. I think he's got a lot of different finishes in his locker. The first goal was a very, very clever, knew exactly where the goal was. Second one, just powered it home, and that's not a typical Ollie Watkins finish, I wouldn't say.
Yeah, you were right, Dan. In that ad break, I did get the fan on, and I was starting to feel it's slightly refreshed, but the length of that question that you just asked me has now got me sweating again. So,
good question. Covered a lot of ground myself in the question. That's what I do, Greg.
It was a brilliant pass from Tielemans. I didn't think he had his best game. I thought he was a little bit loose at times, but I liked the way when he passed the ball, he kind of like, he kind of knew that he'd made a brilliant pass, and he was like, go on Ollie, finish it, and then he did. I thought Watkins had a great game. He was just spinning off the defenders, giving Issa Diop a real tough time, and got his rewards. It was nice to see hear Emery say after the game of how pleased he was with some of his other contributions to the game rather than just his goals. I think that's what we've always tried to highlight, haven't we? When he's gone through these slightly barren spells, have a look at the work that he does for the team as well. Have a look at the assists that he produces. Have a look at the tireless running that he used to do. Doesn't do so much anymore because Emery's asked him not to do it. Have a look at the work that he does defending set pieces. He's an all-round brilliant player. And I noticed a tweet you put out yesterday, Dan.
I was about to read it out.
Go on then. I won't steal your thunder.
I'm trying to find it. I want to get your thoughts on this.
Well, I've seen it already. It was something about asking for Watkins to be more consistent, wasn't it?
I put out a tweet saying, move over York and Benteke. There's a new number 1 Aston Villa striker in my time. Criminally underrated, even now. That probably sounds bizarre for me to say. He's criminally underrated. But during that tweet, I got a few replies saying he needs to be more consistent. I honestly don't know what people expect. If Ollie Watkins was any more consistent, Erling Haaland wouldn't play for Manchester City. Ollie Watkins would play for Manchester City, and Erling Haaland would be somewhere else or on the bench. He could not be any more consistent. I watched Haaland yesterday in the game after Villa. He missed chances.
He missed 9 chances. So
Ollie Watkins misses chances. What do people want? It's bizarre. It really annoys me.
Has 13 games remaining of this season, and he's already scored more goals than he scored in any other Villa season. So he's having his best season to date, and people are asking him to be more consistent. I mean, genuinely, I don't get what more they would want. Yeah, he's missed some chances, but he's also scored a hell of a lot of goals and made a lot too. Strikers
That's
miss
the thing.
chances.
It's like
Haaland
he
missed
cannot
9.
do any more than what he's doing.
Haaland missed 9 yesterday. He missed 9 chances. This happens in football. If you have a goal record that consistently backs up how good you are as a striker, i.e., hitting double figures, consistently every single season, like Ollie Watkins does, then people should just let him be and enjoy him. And look, for you to say, because I've listened to you for years speak about how much you used to love Dwight York, how Benteke was one of your favourites, admittedly in a pretty crap time for strikers.
His goal record was outstanding in that too, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Benteke, yeah.
it was 1-2, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was he literally was a 1-2 striker, and at the point that he left Villa, he could have probably gone to any club in Europe. Really, there was almost every club was interested, and he chose a giant in Liverpool, and it didn't quite work out. But yeah, to hear you say that, it sort of cements my feelings towards him as well, because I really rate him.
You're just completely underappreciated by certain sections of the fan base. Again, social media is not a brilliant barometer, but even in the game, sometimes I hear some stuff shouted from the whole end about him when he misses a chance, and I think, what are you on? Honestly, I cannot understand what people think, where people think this striker is that's better. I've said it before. Where is this mythical striker that's better than Ollie Watkins? Ollie, I was going to say something ridiculous there. I'm not going to say it because I'll get criticised. But Ollie Watkins is so good. He doesn't really have a weakness to his game. Even just talking about those things yesterday, such a team player, winning those headers, defending set pieces. His assist record this season is up there. I think he's got the most goals and assists combined across the entirety of the Premier League.
Top 5,
probably more leagues. Where is this striker? Where is this striker?
But there's we can name probably 4 or 5 strikers in the world that we think are better, admittedly. But Villa aren't going to go and sign. Villa aren't going to go and sign Erling Haaland or Harry Kane or Kylian Mbappe, who's slightly different, obviously. Yeah. But or there might be a few more off the top of my head.
Lewandowski, but he's getting to the end of his career.
Perhaps, yeah. They're not going to go and sign those, and they've got now the second best striker in England playing for them, scoring goals regular, producing, has done ever since he came to the club, was signed for a very big amount of money, has significantly increased in value. So yeah, I'm not sure what they want.
Yeah, if
you're not sure what more Ollie Watkins can give.
If you're saying Ollie Watkins needs to be more consistent, get in the bin. I don't want to hear from you.
I'm not sure what more he can do.
Yeah, it's actually ridiculous. I'm probably going too far again here. It's thick to say that. In my opinion.
I mean, Emery said the same as you, hasn't he? He has been asked in press conferences previously about signing a new striker, and perhaps Villa do need another one to go alongside him at some point, to take the burden off him, to come off the bench and score goals, to play in some of the cup games when he's not available, to give him a little bit of a rest sometimes. Yeah, it'd be great if Villa had somebody who was equally as good as him, or slight on a similar level. But Emery's response in more recent times has always been, well, he has actually asked journalists straight out, well, who should we get then? Who shall we sign then? Where is this striker? Where is this striker that Aston Villa can go and sign? There's not one out there. They might go and unearth a gem, and he becomes this brilliant striker, which is kind of what they looked at in John Duran and thought this was a guy who was shining in the MLS, had produced a body of work at youth level and was very impressive, and was one of the most talked about players in his age group. And Villa went and bought him and thought, over a period of time, perhaps he could evolve into an Ollie Watkins. Unfortunately, it hasn't quite worked for him. He's been injured, etc. And always wondered whether Emery does really fancy him, because he wasn't his signing. He didn't even know who John Duran was when he arrived at the club. He just gave the club the blessing that they could sign him because of the work that they'd already put in. But yeah, there's not a striker out there, unfortunately, that Villa can get.
There's a reason why Spurs for 8, 9, 10 seasons didn't have a backup to Harry Kane, and they had to find a replacement who played in a different position. So Son always used to play up top, really. And there's a reason Manchester City don't have necessarily a backup striker to Haaland. They have someone who can play in a few positions in Alvarez. Ideally, that I would say that's what Villa need. someone who can play as the second striker or play out wide, but also play up top when Watkins isn't there. You know, Villa have built a very good squad, and I'm sure they'll go again in the summer and add a couple of really class players and make the squad even stronger. But yeah, Ollie Watkins, anyone who is criticising Ollie Watkins, get a grip. I don't understand it. And like I say, I shouldn't say it, but I don't respect your opinion at all, because Ollie Watkins is absolutely brilliant and one of the best players, one of the best strikers Villa will ever have, in my opinion. We've done the goal that Villa conceded, but then they did have to show some resilience. I've got to do a special shout out to former Aston Villa player Adama Traore, because he did everything he could at the end of that game to make sure Villa won. A great save from Emi Martinez, as normal, making what I call a Gregg Evans save, because you've alerted me to the fact that every game he makes that one big save at a crucial moment, and he did it again against Adama Traore. But after Adama Traore missed that chance, he seemed determined to break the game up as much as possible by giving away needless free kicks, getting into scuffles. And I just wanted to thank him, because he used to play for the club. Obviously still holds a place in his heart, because he wanted Villa to win that game, it appeared, at the end.
He's a much better player than when he was at Villa. He was very raw, wasn't he? He maybe doesn't show as much as he lost a little bit of his pace, of course, and maybe doesn't show as many skills as in previous years. But sadly, I mean, I don't mean to hammer him, but it's the same old Adama Traore, isn't it? You know, gets into the positions and just can't quite add that finishing touch. There is just not quite the end product there that would make him potentially a brilliant wide player / forward. And yeah, look, he did all the hard work. Lovely through ball, lovely run, held his run perfectly. Made the right decision, I think, with the finish, but it just, Emi Martinez is one of the best in the world at those moments. One-on-one, I think him and Alisson Becker are the two best in the world at that. Pick between you who you think is the best, but absolutely amazing that Villa have still got Emi Martinez. And there was something that actually crossed my mind when I was watching the game, a little bit random actually. I was thinking, Emi Martinez winning the World Cup with Argentina might just have been the best thing that happened for Aston Villa, because I think players typically, they want to win things in their career, and when they're as good as, when they're at their very top in their position, they know that they can go to pretty much any team and go and do it. And Emi Martinez would get a very, very high profile move, wouldn't he, if he wanted a move or if he became available. In the way that Jack Grealish was. Jack Grealish was exceptional in his position. He knew that he probably had to leave Villa to go and win something. In Emi Martinez's head, he's actually won a few things now. He's won the World Cup. He's won the Copa America. He's ticked that box of having a really successful trophy win. So as much as he would want that at domestic level, it's not a massive itch that he needs to scratch. So staying at Villa he might just want to do that for a little bit longer. It was just something that came into my head. If he hadn't won anything in his career, perhaps he might have wanted to leave already to go and win something, but he's already done that now, and he can stay consistent in his message that he says publicly that he wants to do and win something with Villa, and it'd be great if he could.
See, I think had Villa not got Unai Emery and he didn't believe that he could win trophies at Villa, he would have gone, because I think once players get a taste for a trophy, they then can go. They then want to, keep that winning feeling. We've seen players in the past like go to bigger clubs because they say that they want to win trophies. I think Emi Martinez genuinely believes he can win trophies under Unai Emery and play Champions League football, which is what he'll want to do because he's played at the highest level now for his country. I think he believes he can do these things at Aston Villa. I think if Unai Emery wasn't there, and let's say Villa had continued with Steven Gerrard, I think he would have moved because of that, regardless of winning the World Cup. But I actually think now he thinks he can do these things at Villa, Greg.
Yes, I agree with you in one respect, but I also think when Emery initially came in, there would have been some doubts there because of his time at Arsenal. And, he played under him at Arsenal, didn't get that number one spot. So he probably would have been thinking, does this guy fully rate me? Is this guy going to be the one that takes me onto a new level with my domestic team? And it could have even been, an excuse for him to move further. We know how much he appreciated Neil Cutler, his old goalkeeping coach, who was moved on when Unai Emery came. But he has now got what possibly is an even better relationship with Javi the goalkeeping coach now, who he took to the Ballon d'Or awards with him when he was voted the best goalkeeper in the world. So look, I think he would have needed a little bit of convincing with Emery to start with, but now he knows what an elite level coach he is and has said that publicly. I think he said he thinks that Emery's one of the best 3 coaches in the world, was it? Or best 5 coaches in the world was one of his quotes a couple of weeks or months ago. I think, as you say, he believes in the Villa project now.
I think as well, Emery's made him a better goalkeeper, and the new goalkeeping coach has made him a better goalkeeper, because I don't see many goalkeepers that are as comfortable with the ball at their feet than Martinez, the way he pings the ball around. People go on about Ederson and Alisson, and yes, they're exceptional with their feet. I actually think Martinez is a better shot stopper all-round goalkeeper than Ederson. I think he's very close with Alisson. But I think Alisson makes more mistakes than Emi Martinez. So
a few have creeped into his game, haven't they? More recently.
I think that's always been the case. But it's going to happen. Goalkeepers make mistakes, but Emi Martinez, I'm cursing him here. He doesn't really make mistakes, and that's why I think he's the best goalkeeper in the world. I also think he's more dominant than the 2 goalkeepers that I've just mentioned in terms of coming and getting crosses, and always catches the ball as well. Emi Martinez.
That's the key, isn't it? For me,
I think he's the best goalkeeper.
Do you think he should share a degree of the blame for yesterday's goal, or was that all on Longley?
That's it. No. I said I believe Longley would have got a shout to have left it. I don't think he just left it off his own devices. I think if he doesn't get a shout, he clears it. I don't know, because I haven't seen the footage back from that angle. But my assumption would be that Emi Martinez has thought he could get the ball. It's good striker play, to be fair, as well, because he stayed alert and gambled, and he's got his rules. It wasn't an easy finish either, in fairness, from that angle, and he's took it well. Sometimes you have to appreciate that the forward player was very, very switched on, which not all forward players would be. I don't think that was Longley's fault at all, from what I could say. But I wouldn't class it as a mistake. It's like a communication breakdown rather than a mistake. And he made up for it anyway with the save that he made.
Yeah, it's a brilliant save, wasn't it?
He's the best in the world.
Every single game.
Yeah. The way he pings that ball around now as well, he's not too far away from Manuel Neuer. I honestly think he's the best goalkeeper in the world, on the planet.
Officially he is.
Yeah, he is. But I think what you watch backs it up. The stats probably wouldn't back it up, because we don't keep many clean sheets. But if you watch 90 minutes of a game, I think he's better than Alisson. I think he's better than Ederson as an all-round goalkeeper.
Yeah, I mean, you
don't agree.
They're 3 brilliant goalkeepers, aren't they? South America are blessed at the moment with those goalkeepers. I think they all have slightly different qualities. Obviously, if you could. Martinez is better at certain things in comparison to others, as you've already alluded to. But it's just great that Villa have got such a brilliant, player like that. And, heaven forbid he gets an injury or a suspension or anything, because it feels like, he's a real key player. And for all the injuries and setbacks Villa have had, the 2 main ones that they've needed all season, Martinez and Watkins, have been there. So let's hope that continues.
I hate doing things like this, because I feel like we're cursing it, like at the start
of
the season.
Are we? They've gone through 25 games already, so let's hope they can continue for the final 13.
I said something about Mings' injury record on the match preview of the Newcastle game, how good his injury record has been, and it wasn't at previous clubs, and then the next day he's out for the rest of the season, so I'm very wary.
It's coincidence, and Tyrone, if you're listening, Dan apologises for that, but
he's a big listener.
Whatever we say on here has very, very little relevance on what's going to happen in training and match days, so...
The good news is, if anything was to happen to Emi Martinez, we've always got 2 goalkeepers on the bench, so we bring them both on. There's always 2 there, isn't there, for Villa? I
think that's the one worry, isn't it? Now, I'm very look. We'll wrap it up. I'm very confident Villa will finish. I'm sweating. Can you tell? I'm very confident Villa will still finish in the top 5. I believe they'll get enough points to do that. I don't think Manchester United will catch them. I think it'll be a head to head with Villa and Tottenham anyway, which I am still confident they'll get the better of. The one issue I've got is that Villa are just becoming very stretched now, and you look at the bench. There's a couple of players that they brought on yesterday. Digne, nice switch that they're able to do there.
Diaby,
obviously been able to bring him on. Zaniolo didn't come on, but having him as an option there is good. I just think if they get another injury, possibly in central midfield or defence, or heaven forbid the two that we mentioned previous, it's going to start causing problems. But for now, they're fine. They're just about at the level where they can scrape through.
Yeah, we're on the cusp, aren't we?
Yeah, they really are. One more injury
is
going to really hurt. But for now, you look at that team yesterday, and look, I'm not saying Villa shouldn't be upset or frustrated with the amount of injuries that they've had, because they really should. They've been very unfortunate, but they're still very fortunate to be able to field a very strong team, because when Newcastle, for example, had all their injuries, their team looked so weak compared to Villa's yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, Matt Ritchie coming on and scoring in stoppage time, that probably tells you everything that you need to know about Newcastle. They're miles off Villa anyway, aren't they, Newcastle, in terms of points now?
Yeah. Anyway. I mean, but injuries really have killed them. They had one period over Christmas where they were just, so ravaged it was untrue. But even if you look at it now, they've got no striker, they've got 3 midfield/wingers playing up front, so you're effectively playing with 6 middlemen. No Isak, no Wilson, no Pope. It's a big one, I think, for them. No Joel Linton, who's turned into a really important player for them. Tonali, the player that they signed for £50 million, obviously out. Barnes is only just back. They've been really unlucky.
Yeah, they've had a silly run of injuries, really, Newcastle. And I just want something just popped into my head whilst you were talking. I can't cope with the positive Gregg Evans. I don't actually think you're that negative, but people seem to assume. Sometimes people say that you're always negative. Someone in the comments here called you Neg Evans. Which I got,
Neg Evans, bloody hell, come on.
I don't think it's true, but it made me laugh.
Yeah, it's a good one. I'll take it, even though I'm definitely not negative.
Neg Evans.
I think. Yeah, I'll rate the commenter for that one. Fair play, but I'm definitely not negative. I think you've got to be real. You've got to be real. You've got to look at Villa under Emery. They're a proper force. 50 games. What is it? 31 wins. He's won. He's got a higher win percentage than. Is it any Villa manager? 60%, I think, or something like that.
I don't know.
I think it's any Villa manager, and the fact that he's doing that in the Premier League as well, when Villa have had periods in the lower leagues as well over the years. I think that Villa are a proper force now, and they've got the points on the board already to still be able to have a couple of slip-ups throughout the remaining 13 games and still get the job done. And look, if they can get the job done, there's no reason to. Okay, it's gone now, but there's no reason to not think that Villa are fully out of competing with the 3 above them. But okay, let's go with your one, Dan. We got to try. You got to try and get 4th secured, and then it's Champions League, and then move on from there.
I suppose if you aim for the 3 above and you finish 4th, that's probably the way to do it, isn't it? I guess. And also, I need to apologise because I pulled a really ugly face when you were talking. So people watching, I really need to apologise. People might think that's just my normal face. I don't think it is, but yes, apologies for the ugly face. Right, let's call it a day. Gregg has got his golf outfit on, so I'm sure he's off to play golf. And I've got to go to the gym and then sofa shopping today. Is my Sunday. So yeah, I can't believe I'm going to the gym on a Sunday. But yeah, trying to get myself into gear.
Oh, I've done 20 days in a row.
I've seen too much shirtless Gregg Evans on my Instagram.
It's too hot. It's too hot to exercise outside.
I'm surprised you're not doing the podcast shirtless.
I would if I could.
Yeah. I mean, you could do it feasibly. There's no reason why you can't. I wouldn't encourage it, but there's no reason why you couldn't.
I definitely couldn't. So yeah, we'll leave it at that.
Yeah, off to the gym. I'm still hurt from my session on Wednesday, so that's good. And then I've got another one tomorrow. Right, thank you very much to Gregg. We've done the pod a day early. I actually think that works in some kind of weird way. So I'm glad we've got it done. Adam will hopefully put it out at some point today, which is Sunday when we've recorded. He's given me the big thumbs up. Thanks for the constant support on the shows. Do subscribe to wherever you're taking in your podcast. Comment as well whether you agree with what we covered in the pod, especially the Ollie Watkins stuff. I would guess. Give the video a like as well if you're watching on YouTube. Let's try and get I don't know, 400 likes. Let's try and get 400 likes on this YouTube video. Might do an extra show in the week as we've done the podcast on a Sunday, but I'll keep you all updated with that on Twitter. So yeah, enjoy the rest of your weekend. I guess when Villa have won, it makes everyone's Sunday a lot more bearable and a lot better. So yeah, again, thank you for watching. Thanks to Adam and thank you to NordVPN for continuing to sponsor the show. Enjoy your golf, Gregg Evans, and as always, up the Villa.